Coffee, big cup, and hello. I'm Laura.
And I'm Kate. And this week we are finally getting around to recapping our annual pilgrimage to New England for the FanFest Society Firelight event. Things have been a little crazy since we got home, but we have to talk about it, of course.
Yep. Spoiler warning, in case you haven't heard or you have never been there to experience it for yourself, FanFest is awesome. So we are about to go in ham on all of the amazing things that we got to experience in 2025. We hope that if you're here with us this evening watching this, or if you're even watching this on a playback, just drop a comment and share some of your own experiences about the weekend. We always love to hear what other people had going on and just the things that they've loved about it. So, share your thoughts as well. But you have been warned. This is about to get real in terms of just the love and praise for all things FanFest.
Yeah, if you're not into encomiums, leave now. This is our third time doing this, and we've done recaps every year because it's so great to sit down and reflect on it each time because each experience has some similarities and some overlap. Obviously, you're seeing a lot of the same people. There are some similar events that carry over from year to year, but each year really is different. And so it's always a great time to sit down and, have a little rap about, what we did. And it's good for our memory and for posterity as well. So let the stories begin. Again, the last 2 years, we've probably told these stories before. If you want to catch up on previous years, go to those episodes. Previous years, we've showed up on the day that the festival starts. Not this year. This year, we were like, no, we're not doing stuff on the back end of the trip. We're doing it on the front end of the trip because we want to get there nice and early. So this year, I went down to Buffalo on Saturday. I think it was the 11th or the 12th. So it was the 11th. And we did our usual Santora's dinner. We love that place. Then we went back to Laura's place. I helped her finish up some of her tokens. We watched SNL. Amy Poehler was hosting, if memory serves, because that's super relevant. Sunday was just errands. We bought matching rain boots. That was fun. Still had some errands to do. Grabbed some food. Domino's. Classic. So we had prize bags to pack and the car to prep and all of it. It took us the whole weekend. I'm so glad that I came down on Saturday afternoon because if I hadn't, we would have been screwed.
Yeah, we always joke about how we kind of feel like we're sliding into home as we head into FanFest, and we wanted to try and curb that a little bit this year, and just get in some quality time in Connecticut before FanFest actually starts because it is such an on-the-go weekend. And there's always something that's going on. You're always doing something that by the end of the weekend, you're so glad that it happened, but you're also just exhausted. And we've experienced that. So we were just like, let's just do all of the things that we want to do beforehand. Just feel like we're going in a little bit more prepared. So we have all that time in the lead up. And I think it was actually a really excellent choice and paid off because we just had a lot of fun, even in the days before the fest even started.
Yeah. And I will say, as much as we say every year that we're sliding into home, I back up the preparation for it every year. I was starting tokens basically right after we came home last year, partially because I came home with so many tokens, which were friendship bracelets last year. And I was like, you know what? I need to get rid of all of the ones that I didn't get rid of. So I'm just going to repackage them to make them easier to give out because last year I just had them in Ziploc bags. And while they were still organized by topic and character, it was just a nightmare. People would be like, oh, I want a Team Jess. And I'm like, here's a Ziploc bag of 100 bracelets. Like, what am I doing? And so this time I did little organza bags full of them for every season. And most of the main characters, even some of the side characters, FanFest attendees, the town, teams, all of it. I made well over 700 friendship bracelets and put them into over, I think it was 300 bags. They were all gone by the end of the weekend. Thank God. That was the goal, was to get rid of all of them. But I started that prep last November. If you look at my Amazon purchase history and all of the beads and organza bags that came last year, and I was done, I think, cutting cards for Gilmore's Against Humanity in May. So, we did so much prep so far in advance, and yet we were still kind of sliding into home. So that's just kind of a theme with us. We are always guilty of doing too much, and this year was no exception on that front. So, we did what we could to mitigate it, and it was necessary this year. But yes, you make an excellent point about the fact that going ahead of time really did give us a chance to settle in and get some stuff accomplished before we went to the fest, so that we could just really feel like we could go all in, pun totally intended, and just like really get everything out of the weekend without worrying too much about like, oh, we still have, many days on our trip after this. So definitely recommend, if you're going to go next year, try to go a little bit early. We've said it in the past to go a little before or a little after. I mean, sometimes you can't help when you can go, but if you can, try to do it before, because then you can roll up the day of feeling like, I'm good. I'm checked into my hotel. I'm not rolling up right before Jenny starts opening remarks, because we did that the last 2 years and it was so stressful, especially because we've historically driven in from Buffalo. And so that's not a short trip. It was at least 9 hours without stops to Maine, and 6 or 7, depending on traffic, to Connecticut. So one of our biggest pieces of advice, having done this a few times now, is front load the trip so that you can roll up casually and like ease into the weekend, because after that the relaxation stops and the party just keeps going.
Yeah. And we'll talk about what we did throughout the course of the entire weekend with FanFest, but Kate makes an excellent point. It's such an on-the-go weekend. You're just going to be going from panel to panel, from meet and greet to meet and greet, from trivia to karaoke to, lunch, dinner, whatever you're doing. Seeing so many people there year after year. There's just, you would think that there would be a moment for you to just stop and exhale. And in the best way possible, there's just not. So if you can get there early, but also just because Connecticut is such a beautiful state. It has so much to offer. These events are always taking place in the fall. So you're getting that like chef's kiss New England foliage as you're rolling up. You can experience a lot of really cute and quiet and quaint towns, if that's your vibe, if that's your thing. And we'll talk a little bit about what we did in the lead up as well, because some of it was also Gilmore equivalent or Gilmore relevant in ways that we'll address. But if you can factor in the extra time to just be in Connecticut or in New England before or after FanFest, always do it. Always do it.
Every time I'm in Connecticut, I'm like, I love this place. When can I come back to this place next? Like, if I were American, I would try to move to Connecticut. But given the state of things, I'm not going to be moving to the United States anytime soon. But I love Connecticut, and we love the small town vibe that feels like Gilmore. Guilford has it in spades, which we'll talk about more as we go through. But first off, we have to, start at the beginning, like most stories, and talk about Monday, which was the day that we actually left Buffalo and hit Connecticut. And so, we didn't have to go super early this time, which is really nice. Normally we're like, oh, we got to get up at 6 and, roll out of here at 7 and get there by 5. Not this time. We had a little bit more of a casual morning. We were able to leave around 10-ish. Pretty good drive, if memory serves. I love driving through upstate New York. Apple Green is doing it right. Everybody needs Apple Green. It needs to be everywhere, every 20 miles. Okay? Please. So this year, once again, we went to one of our favorite places in Connecticut that we found so far, which is East Haddam. This was our 3rd time going there, and we've stayed in the same Airbnb at the same time, or each time rather, because the host is so sweet and always leaves little like goodies for us. This year was a bottle of wine. Last year was snackies. She recognizes us at this point as repeat offenders. So she's a gem, and we love going back to her place. And we rolled up at like 5. No, we wanted to roll up at 5, rolled up at 6:30, and unpacked our stuff. So that was like leg 1 of the trip. Sorry, I'm just disassociating a little bit here.
It happens again. There's just you're never going to stop when you're on this trip. So
it's a lot to like keep track of.
Yeah.
Like,
So
what did we do?
What did I do today? The answer is everything. The answer is everything. But yeah, we wanted to get into Connecticut a little bit early because we are both hardcore Buffalo Bills fans, and there was going to be a game that was on that night that we wanted to catch. We arrived a little bit later than expected. So when we got there, it was just a very quick, like, chuck the stuff in the Airbnb, and then immediately just drive into Hartford to try and watch the game. We wanted to hit up one of my favorite go-to spots, which is Bar Taco. When we initially got there, we realized that they didn't have TV, so we were not going to be able to watch the game. But then we also realized that a lot of the other restaurants that were in the area around Bar Taco, where we already were just incredibly pricey and expensive. So if they did have a TV, it was going to be a meal that entered like into probably like 3 digits in terms of what you were going to have to pay for your dinner. And that was just a little bit above and beyond. So we had to chalk it up to not a full L, but we backtracked to Bar Taco and we're just going to stream this game on our phone. And that's what it's going to be. And I don't think you were necessarily too mad about that.
I was not. Normally, tacos are not my favorite food because it's hard to get really good vegetarian ones. I had really good ones when we were in Port Chester in 2022, I think, my first bar taco experience. But sometimes the vegetarian tacos just aren't it for me. But this time I tried a few new things. I forget what it's called, but it's basically Mexican street corn off the cob. That was really tasty. I've never had Mexican street corn, and it's been on my like bucket list of things to try. So I had that. I don't know. I had some cucumbers. Oh, I had the salsa roja and chips. That was really tasty. I had the best margarita of my life. I'm not always a margarita girly either. Like sometimes I'm like, ugh, no, me and tequila don't get along, or we didn't for a long time. But me and reposado are getting along just fine these days, apparently. So I had a really tasty reposado margarita that had like a curl of orange peel, and I think it was like the citrus oil in it. Just like there was something about it where I was like, this is a fantastically balanced drink. So that was tasty. I got my churros. I'm always happy if I can have my churros with that like hot caramel sauce. Dear God. But yeah, it was really unfortunate that the Venn diagram of like places that have affordable food and places that play sports on television, it was like not lining up for us in Hartford. I was like, why is it so hard to find a sports bar in the heart of the city? What's going on? Why can't I find a sports bar?
I am not exactly sure, but you know, we made it work. I think we were both happy with the meal. We definitely ended up shutting the place down because just the food, the drinks, the vibe is just kind of like a total mood. We were there to relax and kind of just enjoy ourselves anyway. You know, the next day was going to be Tuesday, so there wasn't necessarily anything that we had to be up at the crack of dawn for, and we're on vacation. So that's kind of the point of it. Just, you know, sit back, relax, have a drink, and enjoy yourself.
Yeah, initially I wanted to go to Boston on Tuesday. I've been an avid follower of the Karen Reed saga, and I really wanted to go see Canton and a few of the places that were so central in that trial. But with the nor'easter and the weather, it was just not a great time to want to make like a 2-hour drive each way. And we were both tired and we still had prep to do. And so we just hung around East Haddam on Tuesday, which was delightful. For all the times we've been there, we've never been to the coffee shop that we tried that morning. So we went and we got coffee and breakfast at this place called Higher Grounds, which was really good. And then for the first time, we stopped across the street and finally saw the Nathan Hale Schoolhouse. I have but one life to give for my country. That guy. The schoolhouse is right there across the street from that little coffee shop. And it's just a cool little spot. It's right on the river. And it was just so cute. There's a really old church there. It's so Gilmore. This town is, the reason we found it was because of Gelston House, which is featured in episode 2 of the show. And so we just love coming back to it and discovering new little nooks and crannies of this tiny Connecticut town.
Yeah, and for me especially too, I was commenting on the historical significance of it, which is really important to me in a lot of places that I that I'd like to see. And I think it does matter to a lot of people as well. And it was just like, my mind was a little bit blown that I'm just like, you know, this man was just so infamous and so groundbreaking in terms of America being what it is today. Not going to go there specifically, but I just really value the historical impact of like the founding fathers and people like Hale that were just so revolutionary, pun intended, and kind of giving us, or, you know, the country that was formed in the 1700s. So I really enjoyed just being able to see the schoolhouse, just knowing that like this man is buried here, like, just the impact of it for me. And I think there are a lot of history buffs out there as well who might echo the sentiment. It's just really almost even inspiring to see and just be a part of.
Yeah. And then that night, I think we had maybe some of the best food we had on this entire trip.
Oh.
Laura, talk to me about Fornarelli's.
God rest her soul. My grandmother, who has sadly not been with us for the past few years, would wake up and come out of her grave for this food. I was just really, I think we were both really vibing with wanting Italian that night. We didn't have any concrete plans, but we were just searching some places nearby, and we ended up stumbling on Fornarelli's in Colchester, Connecticut, which, again, like I said, will bring my grandmother, my Italian grandmother, out of her grave for this food with no complaints, and it sent me to another plane of existence. The second that we got in there, like, it was just, you know, definitely a family friendly place. Like, the art on the walls was cute, but the food just sent me. And if it can get my approval, you know that it's doing something right. I had linguine a la clams, which was probably for the heart of Connecticut, something that I was just very reserved about, but it was probably one of the best meals I've had almost in my entire life, which is, I think, saying a lot. And I would literally move back to Connecticut for this restaurant. There are other reasons why I would, but it would definitely be a factor. Be like, if I can just be 5 minutes away from here, sold.
Yeah, I was a little dubious when we first walked in. The decor was a little bit dated and it wasn't bumping yet, but we were there pretty early. I think we made like a 6 o'clock reservation or something, and like the true dinner crowd hadn't made it in yet. By the time we left, place was jam-packed. It was like clearly off the chain. Everybody knows where it's at. The food was incredible. The drinks were incredible. I had a pumpkin espresso martini that made my eyes roll back in my head. We just sat there in silence being like, oh my God. Like, it was so good. And then I had butternut squash ravioli with white wine and sage sauce. Oh, I've had some good butternut squash ravioli. I'm not always a big butternut squash person, but I do like a good ravioli with it. This was just perfect. It was comforting. It was cheesy. It was savory. It was everything you would want that dish to be. And I got myself a cannoli at the end of the day as well. That's some good cannoli. I don't think it tops Mike's for me in Boston, the Mike's pastry. Mm-hmm. I think that's still my favorite. And Mike's is legendary for a reason. But holy moly, was that like an unexpectedly fantastic meal. We were just like, oh, we'll find some food, whatever. Like, we weren't out here looking for, you know, something to put in the Zagat guide. But oh boy, did we find it.
Yep. I have to ask, did you leave the gun?
I took the cannoli. I left the gun.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
But yes, definitely if you're ever in Middlecombe, Connecticut, as we like to refer to states that we're in the heart of, go check out Fornarelli's in Colchester. You will not be disappointed. Stamp of approval any day of the week.
Tell them we sent you. They totally know who we are. Although we did have a nice chat with the waitress whose boyfriend was he a Pats fan? And we were like, oh, sorry, honey.
Yeah, which we'll kind of, I guess, eat our words about a little bit right now, considering that they're doing, sadly for us, great this football season. But there's going to be Buffalo Bills talk later on in this episode for reasons, and we'll make that very clear as to why, and we'll connect the dots for you. So hold off on the football
We'll get there.
chat just for right now. But after our epic meal, we ended up just going back to the Airbnb. We did have some last minute prep that we needed to do for our match game panel that we were going to be hosting at FanFest. Kate kept on with just photographing all of her epic bracelets that she had been making, because the project of just that and the nature of it just meant that it was something that did need to be documented.
Yeah, I'd been working on it for so long and so hard, trying to find all the best references and to, you know, make a little bit of everything, that by the time I was done, the sheer scope of it, just, it really did need to be documented. So I got some of it done on the Sunday that we were in Buffalo, but then I had to keep working on it like each night at the Airbnb while we were in Connecticut still. And as I would go, I would upload it to Instagram as well. So I started an entire separate Instagram page for these bracelets. So maybe because I didn't want to flood my own or the podcast Instagram with just pictures of bracelets. So I created its own account. And so now you can go and view all of my insane crafting from the last year or so. And just see all of the different references that I pulled from every episode, from every character. And yeah, it's called Kate's Emotional Homework. I think there's some underscores in there.
Yeah, we'll include a link to that Instagram page in the description below. If you were at FanFest, you may have actually seen and witnessed this gigantic fall decorated box of just bracelets. I mean, look at that. Like, when I see that she balled out on bracelets, like it was a remarkable feat. It was very much appreciated by so many people at FanFest. Definitely a total hit. So you may have seen the box yourself, taken a bracelet. But if you're just looking for maybe craft ideas for yourself, or you just want to relive some of the epicness that she created, just check out the link in the description box below. She's still crafting. She is still doing things on the regular. So it's still just not even FanFest bracelets. It's just other pieces of art and things that she has put together. So go check it out.
I wouldn't call it regular. These days I'm doing a little more homework than braceleting. But yeah, I did make Laura a few things for some of her fandoms, including custom rhinestoning a Buffalo Bills license plate frame thing, cover, whatever you call those things. Custom rhinestoned that. So that was fun.
Yeah, but just go check it out. If you're artsy, maybe it gives you some food for thought for your own tokens for next year.
Yeah, like a lot of people made bracelets, and I love it because then you can like stack a bunch of different ones, like even if other people make bracelets, it's just the perfect little thing that, just has a little piece of you, a little piece of your time and your effort and your thought goes into it. And, I had so much fun finding all the funny references. And I hope that other Gilmore nerds appreciate as much as I do how funny those are. Like some of the ones that I came up with are just hilarious. I don't know if anybody actually took these ones, but I did make some. And if you're like really religious, maybe like earmuff for 10 seconds. But I did make some that said, hell is waiting for you, sinner, and Satan can kiss my ass. Like, there's something hilarious about that to me. I just, sue me. And then I made myself one that I love. I got married this year, and so I made one that was inspired by Donna Reed, more coming on that later, that says oppressed housewife. So that's a fun one. And one of my favorites was, I made one that says life of a Gilmore girl, and it's in the life of a showgirl colors. So it feels like a perfect crossover because of one Miss Kelly Bishop, which again, spoiler alert for later. Yeah, but we got to get back to the chronological timeline here. What did we do on Wednesday?
So Wednesday, if you're again in East Haddam, we cannot recommend this spot enough. We started off the morning at our favorite coffee shop, Two Wrestling Cats, owned by a wonderful gentleman who is just probably honestly one of the nicest humans that I think we've ever met in our experiences throughout New England.
Shout
The
out
best
Mark. We love
Mark,
you.
we appreciate you, Mark. But the best part about this about this place, if the name didn't give it away, is that there is an entire separate room in this coffee shop full of cats. And that's not an exaggeration. It's not hyperbole. If you just want to have a latte and go play with some cats, you can. And we do. And all you have to do is just, say, hey, Mark, can I just go chill with the cats for a little bit? And he'll just let you in the room. So we make a point of doing that every single year. The coffee and the food there, breakfast foods, crumb cakes, just, snacks to take on the road. They're doing it right there. So it's an establishment that, again, we cannot hype up enough. That definitely deserves your business. It's warm, it's welcoming, it's open. Mark is definitely advocates for everybody, as you'll see in his establishment. It's just very much, that you're going into an open and warm and welcoming space.
Yeah. The coffee shop itself is so charming, but yeah, the cats at the back, for a $5 donation, you can go back and play with them. And when we were there in 2022, they were kittens. And so now I think there was one year we missed them, unfortunately. I think it was 2023. Yeah. We missed them because our time in Connecticut didn't line up. They're closed, I think, Tuesdays. And that happened to be one of the days that we were in Connecticut. And so unfortunately we missed them, but we've seen them 3 times now. So, now they're big kitties. And, it's so funny to kind of like watch these cats grow up, even though they're not our cats, but they're the same group of 6, and they're all siblings too. They're all part of the same litter. And it's just adorable. I think some of them had been adopted out, but then couldn't stay at those homes, and they got reunited with their siblings, and they all live together. They've got their own space and tons of toys and tons of love and engagement, and it's just one of our favorite things to do in Connecticut.
Yeah. So it's, again, 2 Wrestling Cats. If you're ever in the heart of Connecticut, definitely pay a visit. You will not be disappointed. But after that, we needed to, of course, circle back on Gelston House because it's right there in East Haddam. So how can you not? We had a quick bite to eat for lunch, sat inside, as opposed to doing it on the patio this year. And it was actually, for a Wednesday afternoon, bumping for reasons, though. And Kate, tell us why it was a little bit packed that afternoon.
Well, Gelston House happens to be next to Goodspeed Opera House, which is a legendary theater there in East Haddam. And I wish I had looked into this before because it would have been too perfect. And I wish we didn't have places to get to after this. But a chorus line was playing at Goodspeed, which would have just been the most perfect full circle moment of the trip if we had thought to look. We've never been to Goodspeed. It's just like we've never really, every time we've been to East Haddam, we've had a lot of other stuff on the docket. And so looking to see a show there has never really been on the bucket list. But yeah, I wish we had thought to check. But a chorus line, how perfect is that?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't get tickets for that. And we did have to kind of depart East Haddam because we did need to get to Guilford to get ourselves checked into our hotel. But that is one thing. If I had any regrets about this trip, that would probably be the only one. But it was that we did not get in there to see that show because it definitely would have been that full circle moment.
Yeah, definitely. But, Gilford House Gelston House is always a good time. I mixed them up. Guilford. Interesting. Is that foreshadowing for where we're going next? As you said, we checked into our hotel after that. It was so nice to have the extra day in the hotel to check in mid-afternoon on the Wednesday and to just be able to unload, settle in, get cozy. And then we went out. We did a little bit of shopping. Because like last year we were so busy that we barely got a chance to go into all the cute little shops that everybody was raving about all weekend. We were just way too busy, and making time for that this year was definitely great. The places that we checked out are adorable. Guilford, I keep doing that. Guilford. Guilford.
What's the new thing now? Guilford.
I'm changing the name of your town. Deal with it. Yeah, so Guilford is a very cute town. Always worth a walk around the green, check out all the little shops. Lots of great places to go. We stopped in at, I think my favorite place, or places, my two favorites were Flutterby, or Flutterby. Still haven't figured that one out. Very cute stuff. I don't think I got anything there, but it was the most tempting place. I'm really trying not to buy stuff right now because I have to move everything I own across an ocean at some point. And so I'm really trying to be thoughtful about like not just acquiring merch to acquire merch. So I didn't end up succumbing, but they had some very cute stuff that was so tempting. But my other favorite spot where I did succumb to something that's, it was fine, was Breakwater Books, because you can't keep us out of a good bookstore. And so I picked myself up a Gilmore Girls advent calendar.
Which is kind of fitting, heading into the holiday season now.
Exactly. As we're recording this, it is December 1st. So I haven't opened today's little envelope yet. So maybe we'll save that for the end as a reason to stick around to see what's in here. And I will be posting on the Instagram. I don't know if it'll be every day, but I'll try to at least post every couple days, depending on if I remember or not, all of the little trinkets that are inside there. So there's also a deluxe Gilmore Girls one that they had that is shaped like Lorelai's house. And one of them was given away as a raffle prize. We unfortunately did not win the lovely Stephanie Carroll one. And she's been posting her journey of opening that as well. But it's quite nice. This one was a little more affordable. So, and I could fit it in my suitcase. So I went with the flat one. So very excited now that it's December 1st to finally crack into that. It's just been sitting over there for, oh God, 6 weeks? Has it been 6 weeks since FanFest? It does not feel like it. What is time? Anyway.
It just means that we're 6 weeks closer to the next one. Let's look at it that way.
That is accurate. But yeah, so we did all that. And then we went for dinner. I think we did Prime again that first night that we were there. So that was our favorite place from last year. And yeah, the bartenders remembered. They're like, oh yeah. So we chatted with them quite a bit throughout the weekend. I think we went there pretty much every day again this time. We said we were going to try new places, and we kind of did, but kind of didn't.
Yep. You know what? When you find a spot you love, you find a spot you love. And we have, and we did. So got a lot of our business, but rightly so. It is right across. Right, I can't talk anymore. Right across from the green. So if you just need like a quick bite, even if it's the middle of the day, you're just looking to get lunch, a dinner option that's right there. It's close, it's walking distance. A lot of the places right on that main strip are. All I would say is just definitely if you're going there for dinner or any place on that main strip for dinner, make a reservation in advance, because with that many people in Guilford for the weekend, these places are going to fill up, and it can be a little bit tricky to get a dinner table if you don't call ahead or make that reservation. So just tip for anybody for future years, make your rezos.
Yeah, totally. But it was good to be back, and it was just a nice chill night. We closed the place down again, typically, as is our custom. But it was nice. And then we got up the next morning and got manicures, because we were talking about that in the lead up. We were like, what are you doing with your nails? And then we were like, let's find a place to do hair and nails the day of so that our manicures are perfectly fresh. So we went and got our nails done, got our hair did. The girls at, what was the salon called?
Oh gosh.
Murray's.
Something like
it was named after a dog.
Yeah, it was on the main road right across from Target. I don't know why I'm blanking on the name of it all of a sudden. Might have been Murray's.
The Murr. It was called the Murr. The dog's name was Murray, but the salon is called the Murr. Yeah, the girls there were lovely. They did a really good job. So that was nice. Very like pampering after several days of travel and just like feeling like a gremlin to just have your nails and hair done. It was indulgent, and we liked it.
Yeah. But it also allowed us to just, pick up some snacks in preparation for the coming days. Because another tip that we can throw at you if you'll allow us, definitely make sure that you're coming with water, juice, sodas, maybe a bag of chips, something to nosh on, throughout the panels. I everything is so back to back that sometimes it can be really hard to break away and find that time to go grab something to eat. But it is so important to stay hydrated and to keep yourself fed, just because you're going to be so consistently on the go. So definitely just make sure that you have like a backpack of like, grab and go things that you can just have while you're going about your day. So we were able to do that a little bit as well. We were able to check out some local things in the area. We ended up going to a used bookstore in Madison, which ended up having some really great, cute little finds. So we went home with more books, whether we think that we need them or not.
Yeah, the only one I picked up was another copy, vintage, of Gone with the Wind, which is one of the first editions that I bought that was sort of vintagey and that I clocked as being an early edition of something, and it really sort of ignited my passion for old and rare books, antiques, antiquarian book selling, being a former profession of mine, was kind of kicked off by finding that copy of Gone with the Wind in a bookshop. So I found another early copy, a different edition with a different binding. So I want to take a look at it, check its points, and see what it really is. And it could use a little bit of TLC. So book binding and book repair is something that has kind of been on my bucket list as a crafty skill to learn. Maybe I'll start doing that on emotional homework someday. But she could use a little love. So I'm going to fix her up at some point.
Yeah. But that now leads us into the actual official, unofficial, for day oneers, more so the start of FanFest 2025. And I just very quickly, while you have your mug up, cheers to that. Guys, we've been doing this for a couple of years now. We do these recaps for a reason, because we want to highlight just how special of a weekend this is. And we'll start talking about what our days were like. But if you have not been to this event, hopefully it will be back for 2026. Nothing has been announced or solidified in stone yet for next fall. But I'd like to think that the outlook is relatively promising. All we can say is just go if you have the opportunity to do so. And if you have already been, definitely just keep coming back, because the event that gets put on is just so special and so unique. It's put together by a husband and wife duo, Jenny and Marcus, who I will personally sing their praises about all day, every day. They say, especially Jenny, so much throughout the weekend that it's an event that wouldn't exist without us, without the fans. But I'm just going to throw that right back at her. We would never have any of this if it wasn't for the just immense amount of effort and labor of love that these two put forth. I just want a quick nod to them, because they are just remarkable people, and we would not be here talking about this without them.
Exactly. They just work tirelessly for this fandom, and all of that effort shows in the quality of these events, which is what keeps people coming back. People will drop off year to year based on, I have a wedding to go to, it's my kids XYZ, I can't make it this year. But the core group of people who has gone, some of them have gone every year since this thing started 10 years ago. And, just the fact that they've been able to put on an event of this quality and this magnitude for this long, we just hope it keeps going basically forever, So just kudos, endless kudos to Jenny and Marcus and their entire team of volunteers and the people behind the scenes and the towns who, welcome us in to come do this, because it's so, so special. But that really does bring us to the true beginning for us. Again, little piece of advice. If you can, get your tickets on the first day that Jenny puts them available. Because when you do that, there tend to be perks, like going on the Thursday night. There's more programming, there's more options. The cast starts arriving. You get there before the true rush of people comes on the Friday morning. It's just, we've done it the last 2 years, and it's absolutely worth it. And the more people buy tickets earlier, the more Jenny can plan. And so you start getting more cast announcements earlier, and you never know how many people she can bring. She usually aims for about 10. This year it ended up being 13, 12 for most of the event, with one very special guest. And so the more she can plan ahead, the better. So we absolutely recommend getting those first day tickets because there was some opening remarks. There was an additional panel, I think, that evening. And then there was musical bingo. Or was it just music? I think it was just musical bingo.
Just musical bingo.
So that was a lot of fun. So kudos to Sam for putting that on. That was fun. And then this year, one of the add-on dinners happened to be only for the first day ticket holders. And we managed to snag some tickets for the Shoreline Diner dinner, which was pretty good. We got to sit at a booth and meet some new to us fans, Latasha and Matt. They were lovely table company. But then one of my favorite parts of this entire weekend happened that very first night. So I'm sitting there. I think Laura had, gone off to talk to somebody. And I think Latasha and Matt maybe got up to talk to, and I was like left at the table alone for a few minutes. And I was just sort of like, observing, looking around. And I spotted a guy sitting at the bar in a Buffalo Bills sweater. And so when Laura came back, I was like, Laura, there's a guy over there in a Bills sweater. We have got to talk to him. He is our people. And so then later on, we go and we start chatting with him. And we're like, we're big Bills fans. Like, where are you from? What's your deal? Like, are you living in Buffalo? And Laura, do you want to tell us who this guy was?
Yep. So he introduced himself to us, and he's like, "Oh, I'm Vlad." First and foremost, which blew my mind, he was like, "I think I might already follow your podcast," and he gave us his handle, and I was just like, "Oh, I think you actually already do, and you've been liking a lot of our content lately." So that was just a fun little connect the dots moment. But more importantly, as we go up to him, again, just not knowing who this person is, but just wanting to revel in the company of another Buffalo Bills fan, he goes and he's like, "Oh, I'm here with Vanessa Morano."
He's her boyfriend.
Pause. And I'm just like, we're just like, "Excuse me?" He's like, yeah, I'm the boyfriend. And I'm just like, I think Kate and I had a moment of looking at each other and being like, just what is life? What is life?
But it was also because of the way that he told us about this was sort of like, yeah, my girlfriend, oh, that's her over there, Vanessa. She wrote a movie about the Buffalo Bills for Hallmark that's coming out in November. And so she got really into the lore and is now really into it. And so I'm just trying to be a good partner and like also just coming along for the ride. And now I'm into it.
Yeah. It's a small Gilmore Buffalo Bills world. And so he was just like, "Yeah, do you want to meet her?" And it's just like, twist our arms, of course. April Nardini, come at us all day, every day. But it was just such a special moment to just be like, this random guy who we were just so honored to meet to begin with for being a Bills fan, turns out to be the partner of Vanessa Morano. And then we started talking with her, started chatting up her movie, which at that point in time had not been released. It has now since been aired. If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. We may talk about that a little bit more in a future episode, but we'll leave those details.
We won't spoil it for you.
Yeah, but on the hook for right now.
We will just say that we did feel it captured the spirit of the Bills Mafia.
Yes, 1,000%. It did its job there. So just another full circle moment, even when we ended up getting to Vanessa's meet and greet, later on.
We met her in Ogunquit too. So this wasn't technically our first interaction with her. We knew that she was great and had met her previously, but just to like stumble upon her boyfriend and him be like, "Oh yeah, she wrote a holiday movie about the Bills." We just lost our minds.
Yeah, a little bit. But it was a great night, just full of just fun, laughter, smiles. It's just really the best way to kick off the weekend. So I'm very happy that there was able to be, a cast and crew dinner that was formulated and able to be put on that first night. And it was just the best way to get everything going.
Yeah, it's just nice to see everybody again, like Nick was there and Eris. I think Olivia, maybe briefly.
Olivia was there. Shelly was there.
We didn't get to talk to Olivia at that point, but she was milling about. Shelly was around. I don't remember who else. Stan. Again, because this year it felt like there were so many. I think Artie was there, but again, we didn't get to talk to him yet. But yeah, just so many of the cast were already there on the Thursday night. You know, there's always the question of like, we don't know who's going to be here yet, but like plenty. And you know, it didn't disappoint with the number of people and just kind of seeing all of the FanFest hardcore people, like just the people who do this every year, and that you know them either by face or by name or by having like a hilarious chance run-in with them last year, you know. So or even just from the Facebook planning group, like you just kind of start to get to know people's names and faces from there. So if you're not in there, definitely get in there. But yeah, so holy moly, we've been talking for 45 minutes and we're only at Thursday night. Woo! Talk to me about Friday.
So Friday, you know, got things going again. I think it was just really helpful that we had gotten there early. We were waking up feeling refreshed, you know, able to have the coffee on the go, just really get the gay started. Oh my gosh.
You know what? It's always a good time to get the gay started.
It's always a good time to get the gay started. That is a Stan Zimmerman approved comment, amongst other people. Anyhow, start off the day right with coffee. First thing we did that day personally for us was just go to the Gavin Gilmore panel, which was being put on that morning. It's really nice, I think, to just start off the day for us with like a game panel, you know, something that is getting the juices flowing without just being too mentally taxing. You know, we love those women. We've met them over the years, gotten to talk to them a few times now. And they just put on a really nice, you know, easy breezy start off the Friday morning panel, you know, in the best sort of way, I think. After that, we got into Megan and Sean, who are FanFest attendees who have been doing this for even longer than we have at this point in time. But they had a very beautiful story to tell this year in terms of their wedding. Kate, I'll let you extrapolate on that a little bit more, just with how, you know, that factored in last year, how that factored in this year, you know, Nick's involvement. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, last year they got engaged at FanFest, and Sean had been corresponding with Nick about doing it at his meet and greet. And so like he was in on it and ultimately ended up writing them a really nice poem for this year. I'm going to need that somewhere. Megan, John, if you're watching, or Nick, if you're watching, please like print that somewhere. We like that. And they showed a video from the wedding itself. Because, you know, obviously all of the FanFest people can't get up to the wedding, but it was really nice for them to sort of like bring us into their celebration. For me, I was like, I'm inviting like 5 people to my city hall wedding. That's all you get. There's no, I guess there were some videos, but like, you know, I'm not going to show them to FanFest, but they wanted everybody to kind of be part of that. And I thought that was really nice. And they were so generous. They brought cake and snacks and like a nacho cheese thing and nachos and bottled water. And, you know, so they really like put on a whole kind of like little midday thing. They had a guest book for the FanFest people. So we all signed the canvas for that. And then one of my favorite things was I knew a few other people were getting married this year, but unfortunately, I don't think Anne was there this year. I met her last year at the cast dinner. And then Bridget and Barbie, their wedding was like just after FanFest. So in order to, you know, stay safe and not blow their entire budget, they opted out this year. So I didn't get to give them one. Maybe next year I'll be able to get them over. But I made little Christmas tree ornaments that were Wolf Girl because obviously when you get married, you have to start an art collection, and there's nothing like a Kiki Smith etching to say congratulations and best wishes on your marriage. So I made a few of those. I got one for me and Dan because we got married this year. I just did it for this year because it's like the people that will have the same wedding anniversary as me. And so I thought that was like a nice little way to do it. But I only gave out the one. I wasn't sure if anybody else got married. But next year we'll have to hunt down the people we missed and give them one finally. But yeah, so I thought that was nice.
Yep. Cue Lorelai's just cringe smile just next to the photo, which I'm not going to even try and replicate. But.
Oh, it's extraordinary, this thing.
But after that, we were able to pop over back over to Breakwater Books. Christine, who some of you may have met, who's just, I think, a known entity, so to say, within the FanFest universe, but also within the Gilmore universe, just came out with a really, really great new Gilmore book this year. We were able to pick up 2 copies of it ourselves in the lead up. But Breakwater also had them for sale. There it is, maybe Aunt Luke's. Definitely get a copy if you haven't already. So we were just able to go pop in, say hi to her, get the book signed. It's a really fantastic read. You know, we always say it as we're going through the show. Every time you do a rewatch, you're always going to pick up on something new. But she really did a good job in breaking it down and just, you know, highlighting things that you may not have thought of as you're going through the show and watching all these episodes.
Yeah. After that was our meet and greet with Vanessa and Olivia. And this was new. I don't know if she's done this before, but I liked it, where she had one line for 2 meet and greets. So you lined up, you got your photo with Vanessa, and then you continued on and got your photo with Olivia. And so that was really cool. I thought it was a very economical use of time when it's already so precious at an event like this. So that was cool. We, like I mentioned earlier, we have met Vanessa in the past, so we have photos with her from a Gunkwit, and we chatted with her Thursday, but it was nice to see her again. And we both donned our Bills gear for our photo with her. But meeting Olivia Hack was a new one for us. She was somebody who hasn't been to a fan fest in a year or location that we've been to. So we were both really excited to meet her. You know, gotta love Cindy Brady.
Cindy. Don't get me started. I'm a huge fan of those films. Spoiler, not really. Stan was, you know, a significant part in writing those, had a significant role in writing those. So it just, again, connect the dots. It all ties back in. So it was just really lovely to be able to meet her. We hope that the both of them will continue to come back in future years. We had another quick dinner again after that meet and greet because we had to be sure that we could absolutely make it back for the next event, which was going to be the crew panel, which was going to be held with Kai, the Vibe with Kai. You know, definitely go check out his TikTok page and his social media if you haven't. Valerie, Stan, George, Vanessa, and Kathleen. And it was actually, I think, a really great idea for Jenny to put something like that on, because you always hear about what it's like being in front of the camera, but so much goes on behind the camera as well. So it's always nice to hear from, especially someone like Valerie, about what it was like to costume these people, to dress these people. But even more so, it's just nice to hear from some of them about what they're doing outside of Gilmore in terms of their writing projects, in terms of their producing projects, and the other credits that they have, and what it takes to put on a show like this. And so I think it's just a really nice conversation to have. And I thought it was a very enlightening one.
Yeah, I always enjoy the crew panel. And then after that was us. So we show up to the crew panel in like full costume because we had gone back to the room, I think, after, or wait, I'm trying to remember what the layout was, but like we had some time at some point to go back to the room and change. Oh no, it was after the crew panel, wasn't it? See, I'm
Yeah.
terrible at this. Because, yeah, I think we left Quattro's and went straight to the tent, did the crew panel, went back to the hotel and dressed while everybody else was at the cast dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And then we show up when we get back to the tent and we're just in full costume. So this year, for our second, well, our first panel, but our second panel, because like Gilmore's Against Humanity is like our original baby. But last year we did a second panel with the Yaleys, and this year our second panel was a match game panel with Shelly and Eris, and then 6 intrepid volunteers from the fandom who were lovely. So it was sort of, if you've seen Match Game, you kind of get a sense of how it goes. So we came up with some Gilmore themed questions and had the cast answer them, and the volunteers had to try to match them. Eris and Shelly were a little confused by our questions. I'm sure the fan volunteers understood what we were getting at, but Eris and Shelly we lost a few times on very fine points of Gilmore, but it was still very fun. And so I had come up with this idea last year because I'm crazy like that. Again, with the planning these things in advance. One of my favorite parts of FanFest is karaoke, which also happened to be this night. And so when I realized that we were doing karaoke and the panel on the same night, I was like, idea. And I'm merging the worlds. So because we went with like a vintagey themed panel, we both went with vintagey themed outfits. And so Laura did I Love Lucy. because she loves Lucy, as do the Gilmore Girls. And I did a little bit of a spin on Donna Reed, shall we say, or Rory as Donna Reed in that episode with the orange gingham dress and the pearls and the headband. But I crossed it over a little bit and did it inspired by Sabrina Carpenter to line up with my karaoke plan. And so I sang Man-Child by Sabrina Carpenter, dressed like Rory in that damn Donna Reed. Which, can I just, toot my own horn for a second, say that's genius?
Oh, you absolutely can. I love how, like, you can absolutely toot your own horn, because I've told you this, but, like, I remember specifically Jenny came up to me as you were winding down Man-Child, and so you hadn't come back to our seats yet, but Jenny comes over to me and she's like, Kate can sing. And I was like, yes, she can. She's like, she's got some pipes. And I'm like, I know that makes one of us in this duo. But yeah, it was just a really great night of karaoke. We'll talk about, one event that came before it too, but just karaoke was super fun. Eris is always there, always just ringleading it for us, singing all the songs with everybody. Even if it's a song that he doesn't know, he'll still just try and follow the prompter and join in. And so that was just, a really great night. But talk to me about what happened quickly before karaoke, because it definitely deserves a mention. And there were some great highlights there.
Right. Obviously, Friday night, historically, has been the costume contest. We didn't participate this year because we did the sort of like outfits for the previous panel, and they weren't strictly costumes. And last year we did a panel and then the costume contest, and it just felt very like too much. And so we just decided to sit it out this year, but it was fun because then we could just sit back and relax and watch everybody go to town. And so some of the highlights, I think, these are chronological from my photos that I was referring to earlier. They're not necessarily in order of our esteem for them. Jackson sleeping with the zucchinis, somebody dressed up in all green as a zucchini. Stars Hollow's first stoplight. That was funny. And then later, she helped people cross the street while still dressed in her costume. Yeah, which is adorable. The pickle train and pickle train conductor. That was a classic. Not Megan Phillips Mack, but the other Megan, Ray Ropel, and her mom did young Lorelai and Emily from Dear Emily and Richard when she can't fit into the dress. So she found a white dress that was too small, and they were trying to get it closed. And I was so impressed with her mom's like yellow suit and how closely she matched Emily. It was so good. And they like had their hair all done. It was perfect. Mackenzie was the Bayer snowman. Loved it. There were several art themed ones. Someone came as the Renoir girl painting. And there were two wolf girls, one of whom I took a photo with in my Donna Reed outfit because, again, got married this year. Wolf girl. Yeah. So, this was one of my favorites. Taylor and Kirk as the whore from Woman of Questionable Morals. And it was so good, too. Like, they nailed it. That was so funny. Kelly and one of her friends came as the feuding Pose from A Tale of Pose and Fire. Megan and Sean came as Babette and Maury, and they had a friend who was a kid dress up as Cinnamon, and they pulled her along in a wagon. It was cute. Emily Yellen came as Rory's daughter with the Wookiee, which is hilarious. So it's like a Chilton uniform with like fur accessories. Immaculate. A mother-daughter duo came as Rory and Lorelai on the roller coasters if they had gotten to do the roller coaster tour of the United States. The winners were two girls who dressed up as Emily's maids, and they came with an entire list of all of Emily's maids. So that was very clever. Someone brought their tiny little dog and dressed it up as the doggy swami. I think the dog's name was Charlotte, and she was a total sweetheart. And I talked to her again later because I love puppies. Met a few new dogs this year. Always a good time. And then someone did Emily in Say Goodbye to Daisy Miller, when she's trying to climb out the basement window after she gets locked in the basement, and her skirt gets caught, she has to take it off, and she's like having to pull down her sweater when the security guys show up. It was again really, really good and good attention to detail. So the costume contest is always amazes that people don't let us down. People go all out.
Yeah. And I mean, what is so inspiring to me too is that the two women who won, who did the list of Emily's maids, this was their first time at FanFest, if I remember correctly. I think I explicitly remember them saying, like, it's our first year here. And they just completely hit a home run with that outfit. I just remember saying, like, I think I want them to win. It was just clever. It was funny. It made me laugh. And I just personally love that about FanFest, that even in 2025, with Jenny and Marcus having put this on for 10 years, that you're still getting people who are showing up for the first time for their first FanFest and who are just coming in, just going in hard with these costumes and just winning. And it's just really heartwarming to see. And they're having a blast, which is really what it's all about.
And it's kind of amazing, too. You get a lot of the same costumes sometimes. You know, you get a lot of Loreleis on the first day of Chilton. You get a lot of Sukis, a lot of Lukes. But there are still people who are coming up with unique costume ideas 10 years on. And I think it just speaks to how versatile and clever Gilmore Girls is. And like, we've got a few ideas in the pipeline for next year. So, you know, that we haven't seen done yet. So it just goes to show that, like, it's never too late to win the costume contest.
It truly is not. But very quickly, anything else that you want to say about karaoke, which was pretty much the final thing that we did? It wound down Friday night before we head into Saturday.
Yeah. Like I said, always love karaoke. Always love Eris. Karaoke happened on the first night when we were in Ogunquit, and it was incredible. And it was in the theater too. So like the bar was there, and Eris was just putting on a show and a clinic in how to do karaoke right. And so he never disappoints. And this year was no different, because as we were winding down, we got chatting with him, and he's just the nicest, most down-to-earth guy. And so we're chatting him up, and he's like, oh, here, take my phone number so that you can call me to come on your podcast without having to go through my agent.
Yeah.
So now we're on speed dial with Eris Alvarado.
With Eris, yeah. Which I feel like when you and I met, but specifically when we had this idea of just being like, should we do a Gilmore Girls podcast? Yeah, let's do a Gilmore Girls podcast. Even as we were conceptualizing it, if you had come to us at that point in time as we were formulating it and just being like, give it a couple of years and you're going to have Caesar on your speed dial, I would have been like, pull someone else's leg.
Sure, Jan.
Yeah, exactly.
If you had told me that I was going to be in a gay bar with Stan Zimmerman, sure, Jan.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up Friday. That was just such a surreal moment that I had to drop it in here. But that brings us on to Saturday. Saturday was like our day off, which was really nice. We didn't have anything personally going on, so we just got to kind of pick and choose what we wanted to do. We played trivia, won. And then the pièce de résistance of the whole thing obviously had to be Artie O'Daly interviewing Kelly Bishop. Just, we were in the presence of greatness for like 90 minutes. And she was radiant and funny and personable. And just to watch Artie fangirl over her too. Just, I'll never get over the picture of him going like up on stage with Kelly Bishop. Like, it's just the best thing ever. And, you know, it was kind of a no phones thing. You could take pictures as she was coming in or as she was going out. But if you were caught with your phone recording this, it was like, you're kicked out and you're never coming back. So it was one of those things where it's kind of like a moment we all got to share, and like nobody else has that exact moment, that exact experience with us. It was sort of a work of art unto itself to hear her talk about her book and her story. And, you know, we knew some of the stories from reading her memoir and reviewing it on the podcast, but it was just an entirely different vibe to hear it more extemporaneously out of her mouth, and to have the sort of dialogue back and forth with Artie, and to have all of the fan questions from the attendees who were there, and to get a few more tidbits and different stories and behind the scenes kind of stuff from her. And it was just like, it's so ironic because I say it's a moment I'll never forget, but like, I wish I had it on tape because I'll never remember exactly how it went down and I'll never remember every moment. But, maybe that's not the point. Maybe the point is just to soak it in and enjoy it as it happens. But I will also say that another part that I really enjoyed was that while this was happening, I was dressed like Emily in The Reigning Lorelei, and I was wearing like a robe and slippers, and I had like a plastic glass filled with iced tea so that it looked like scotch. And I had a fake cigarette that I bought on Amazon. So I was going full Tennessee Williams, just three sheets to the wind, no cares.
Yeah.
It was so good. And I was like, I hope she can see me like this and appreciate it.
I mean, shout out to Artie. He was a fantastic moderator for that panel. Absolutely the right choice to do it. He just was fangirling over Kelly Bishop, as one rightly does. I know he got brought to tears. I definitely saw a lot of not so dry eyes in the audience. And again, rightly so, because we were in the presence of greatness. Kelly Bishop is truly an icon. If you haven't read her memoir, definitely pick up a copy and do so. But one of the things that I appreciated about that panel and about that conversation, but just about her as a person, is that she is so real and so transparent and truthful. She doesn't shy away from talking about the harder, the difficult topics. There's a lot in there about what it takes to succeed in Hollywood as a performer on Broadway, as someone who is getting into that as a career path. The trouble that she had necessarily in a relationship with her mother, how that shaped her as a person. It was just a very open and honest conversation that she had. And then obviously when she gets to talking about, Dirty Dancing and then Gilmore, we were just sitting there in awe of this person that we've been marveling at for 25 years as Emily Gilmore. But here's Kelly Bishop in the flesh. And like you said, it was a moment that I wish that I had on camera, but I think it was just so much more important for every one of us to just be there and just be like, take it in, because that is truly a once in a lifetime experience to be in her presence and to be hearing her stories from her. And I hope that she enjoyed herself enough that she found the FanFest family warm and opening enough that she would consider coming back, because I would love to see her again. I hope that she would consider making a return appearance, and I'm sure that would be echoed by everybody, because it was just marvelous and something that I would truly never forget.
Yeah, and they were able to collect people's tokens to give to her as well. And so at the very end, they bring up like a whole box of gifts. I don't even know if she was expecting them, because she looked a little taken aback, being like, people brought all of this stuff for me? And like, yeah, we did. So like we gave her cards and our tokens. And so I made her a bracelet that said the third Gilmore Girl to honor her book. And I made another one for generally giving away. So somebody out there has a matching bracelet to Kelly Bishop, and Kelly Bishop has something that I made and something that you made. So again, very, very simple, but very special. And again, surreal, like Kelly Bishop has something that I made.
Mm-hmm.
But the other funny thing about that was Artie is also a big Swiftie. And, when I first heard the song, I was like, oh my God, this is so Kelly Bishop. The Life of a Showgirl. And Jenny Paniker, her question during the Q&A portion of that was sort of like, have you heard The Life of a Showgirl? Because it's a lot like you. I was like, oh my God, yes. And so then after the panel, I went up to Artie, because I was also under the robe. I was wearing my Emily Gilmore The Eras shirt. I also wore it when we talked to Lou a couple weeks ago, or months ago now, I guess. But so I was wearing that, and I was wearing the Life of a Gilmore Girl sweater. And like, I still kind of can't believe I did this. I did not lead into this properly, but I was sort of like, Artie, like, look. I kind of like pull up my sweater to show him the Eras shirt underneath, and I was like, it was not until after the fact, we had a good banter about it, and he didn't like say anything weird. It was just like a funny, like, I know you're a Gilmore fan and a Taylor Swift fan, you got to see my crossover shirt. And so we chatted about that for a few minutes. But like after I walked away, I was like, did he think I was about to flash him? I was just like lifting my sweater in front of RDO Daily. I'm sure he figured, hey, we're in a tent full of hundreds of people. Like, she's not going to do anything outlandish. But it just was one of those things that, like, sometimes when I meet people, like, not even just famous people, but like sometimes normal people too, I don't, like, my brain is so onto the next thing, kind of like, or onto the substance of the conversation that I want to have, that I don't always think about like how to like lead into it properly. And so I just sort of like go too hard up front and it gets weird. So I'm hoping that he was not like concerned about that. But I just thought it was funny that I you know, was a little bit awkward with RDO Daily.
No, it was spot on, and again, just another fantastic person. We had never met him before this year. He was, you know, definitely what I always love is just like, he was so happy to be there too. You know, just I think he even said to us, he was just like, you know, I played this character once in one episode. You know, obviously the highlight episode with the, you know, in Omnia Paratus, and to be invited back for something like this after it's been, you know, however many years since that episode aired, and just to see these people that still care and still want to be around me and that meet me, it's remarkable. And I just loved how much he loved being there, and how much love that he was being shown, and how much he appreciated that. And just, again, remarkable person. I hope he considers coming back as well.
Yeah, he has 2 fan pages on Facebook. Like, that's how much we love Artie. Yeah, like, we didn't even meet him in his meet and greet. We caught up with him in the tent because we had such a busy day. We were like, let's see, because like people were kind of like milling around and lining up a little bit unofficially to talk to him. And so we're like, let's just see if we can catch him now, because we know that we're going to be doing this later and we're going to be too busy and we really want to meet him. And so, yeah, we got him to sign my book and got some pictures, and he was just the loveliest. Like, everybody who comes to these things is so normal and down to earth and just like wants to talk to you about normal things. So, yeah, just awesome.
Yep. So there's that. But then after that, obviously, we wanted to meet somebody that was also new to FanFest, that is actually a local to Guilford, that, you know, grew up in the town, according to, you know, excuse me, according to Matt themselves, had their high school graduation right there on the green. But Matt Newton, who is a little bit more of a nuanced figure within Gilmore. Kate, can you tell us a little about who he played, who he was, and then just what it was like for you to meet him and for us to meet him, and just the even just the massive turnout for somebody like him, who, again, is just somebody that was in a one-off episode, but just the love that he got.
Yeah, exactly. He's actually in probably one of my favorite episodes of season 3, at least, Application Anxiety. He is Jack Springsteen, the awkward Princeton undergrad, pre-med, the son of Darren with the iconic chicken, or legendary chicken. So he comes bouncing in with his sister Jennifer, and Lorelai and Rory make fun of them, and he's at the lunch table scene as well, doing the Kennedy-esque questioning. So yeah, he wasn't in it for all that much screen time, but apparently it was a 14-hour shooting day. So, you know, he got to be on set all day with Lauren and Alexis and his other scene stars. And yeah, first timer at FanFest, grew up in Guilford. He's like, I took my prom pictures right over there. There's nothing like that. He was just as flabbergasted and amazed and thrilled to be there, I think, as we were, being like, look at what the show has done for all of us. And I think he still lives in the area and he teaches acting, and he's just, again, such a nice, down-to-earth person. And I loved hearing his stories and meeting him and just being like, you're in one of my favorite episodes. Like, welcome. Like, it's good to have you.
Yeah. So really spectacular meeting him. Just very nice, down-to-earth guy. But then we get to Saturday night and we have our cast panel, which is incorporating everybody from the cast who was there that evening. And excellent turnout for that panel. It is really nice to get everybody on stage. Kai was moderating that panel again. Did a great job with that. I thought he did a great job with questioning, just making sure that everybody on stage got their turn, regardless of their level of involvement in the show. The questions were really great. But talk to me about a moment that he had specifically with Emily Kuroda.
Oh man, that was so funny. He wrote out an entire script that he wanted her to read to him as Mrs. Kim, and it was hilarious. I can't do it justice. I'm not even going to try. Go check out his TikTok or his Instagram page. It should still be in the videos there because it was so funny to have Mrs. Kim be like, "Kai, why don't you still have why do you still not have a girlfriend?"
You are so single.
It was so funny. Kai is hilarious. He's very personable. But there was another iconic moment that came out of the cast panel as well that we cannot overlook. And it was a question that was directed at Artie. And I don't even remember what the question was because it was so overshadowed by the oopsie that has taken on a life of its own. And that is that Kai referred to Artie's character as Ben. So he was asking him questions about Ben, and Artie's just sitting there like, who's Ben? And it spawned an entire meme and reference for the rest of the weekend. And it was, referred to in, improv comedy style later again in the panel, being like, well, why don't we ask Ben? And like by the next day, people had t-shirts and pins that said Team Ben. There's a whole like spin-off memeing of it on the Facebook pages. It is hilarious.
And best oopsie from Kai, but the fandom just ran with it and they went with it. I think I'm gonna have to get us some Team Ben swag for next year, especially if Artie does return. But it just goes to show, I think, how much joy and levity can come out of this event, even when it's just like, I don't even know what's happening or I don't know what's being talked about, but it was just a great moment. I think that's going to be one of those things similar to the 2024 Life Alert event where it's always going to be something that's referenced back to as just like a top tier fan fest moment.
Yeah, there's got to be one from each year, and that was this year's. And it's funny. We went back to the hotel room and got on IMDb, and we're looking through the list of people, and we figured out who Ben was, or at least one of the Bens we found. He's the guy with the coffee cart when Logan is trying to win Rory back. He makes a wicked cafe mocha, I think it was.
Yeah. But I think that will take us right into Sunday, unless you have anything else that you want to add about Saturday.
Now, there was a dance party, but we didn't go. We were just so tired and our feet hurt. So we were like, let's skip the dance party this year. So we just decided to go back to the hotel room and have a somewhat earlier night. And we had our Gilmore's Against Humanity game the next day. So we wanted to make sure that we were well rested and totally prepped and everything was done and dusted. So we headed back, which I guess takes us to Sunday morning.
Yeah. Our day started off with heading back into the green and back into the tent for the Gilmore's documentary panel, which is still being worked on. Hopefully will be released in 2026. I know they're still working on funding for that. It is still a work in progress. Interviews are still being had. Filming is still being done. There is a Kickstarter, or there was a Kickstarter for it. I believe it is now expired or ended, so to say, in terms of that round of funding. But it was just really great to be able to go to that panel, to get some clips of the trailers of some of the interviews that they've already done. People like Jared, people like Chad, Keiko, who are, even Emily, who was there, who are already giving their time and effort, not only to FanFest, but also to this documentary. And I just, again, think it speaks volumes as to the fact that 25 years later, Gilmore is still alive and well. And we're funding an entire documentary about it. And all of the cast are still just ready to come back and talk about it and revel in it with us.
Absolutely. And then shortly after that was us again. Well, there was an improv panel in between. And then it was us. We did Gilmore's Against Humanity once more. If you've been, you know the spiel. If you don't, no, because you haven't been. Big mistake. Yeah, we put together an entire game based on Cards Against Humanity, but all of the references are Gilmore, and we had a really good time with that one this year. I think it was my favorite opening slide that we've done so far. We did a bit of a jump scare and had the and I love Jesus mannequin from the diorama presentation as the opening slide. So that was a fave. And then we closed it out with a slide of Taylor pinned under the horse mannequins that fell. So it was a full circle moment within Gilmore's Against Humanity itself. So we were proud of that one.
Yep. If you haven't experienced it, all we can say is, again, just in general, consider buying a ticket for a 2026 event. If and when that rolls back around and, notices start going out about that, don't hesitate. Just leap.
Yeah. What's the thing that Logan says to Rory?
Something omnia, something paratus.
Something. You can live 100 years and, never, I don't know. I should know this better, but honestly, I'm just tired and my brain is stuffed with law. So I think some of the Gilmore has been falling out, unfortunately.
Some people can live 100 years without ever really living a day.
Something along those lines. I think I blew out my brain cells doing all of the references. And so I was so hardcore into it for so long that when I stopped, it was like, whoosh, now we have to cram torts in there. So we're just a little bit loopy these days from a poor sleep schedule and homework deadlines for my paralegal licensing course. But I feel like I'm, putting myself out there on the internet as a Gilmore expert, and I can't even remember this one quote. But whatever. I'm tired. Okay, give me a break. But anyway, yeah. So once again, I think Gilmore's was the last thing before closing remarks and prizes and raffles and stuff. So just even that always turns into a tearjerker or hilarious moment. There's always funny things. This year, Mari was giving away a prize to somebody, but I think it was somebody specific that she had singled out as somebody who did something really nice over the weekend. And she had a story about it, and just the story itself was kind of glib and inappropriate if you don't have the full context for it, but it was an inside joke. And so Jenny is just horrified up there on the stage, and Mari's like, oh no, we talked about this before, it's an inside joke. And she's like, you gotta tell me that next time. So just the friendships that have developed and the one-off moments that you have with people being silly and irreverent. It's just, it feels like a Stars Hollow town meeting where somebody says something off the wall and inappropriate. It's like when Taylor suggests killing all the birds that are or putting spikes on top of the lamppost so that the birds won't land there, or doing a deer call, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But for me, get those moments.
Yeah, for me, especially with those final giveaways, there are always just very kind and generous people who will donate Gilmore swag, just even not related Gilmore swag just to give away. And so when Jenny is doing all of those raffles and just doing the closing remarks, for me personally, and I think for a lot of people, it is a very bittersweet moment because, it's going to be one of the last times that we're all going to be together, in this tent on this green, at least for a few months. I know there's a Gilmore cruise coming up, in a few months that some people are going to be going to, so they'll have the opportunity to see each other again. But it's bittersweet in the sense that, in all likelihood, this is going to be the last time for a year that you're going to be able to see these people, to be in this environment, to have just this sense of community and love and just openness with one another, and to be surrounded by all of these fans that are just here for the same reason. And so I think it is, in its own way, just a little bit hard sometimes to close it out, just knowing that you're going to have to say your final goodbyes, that you might not see them again for 12 months. And just with the hopes that this will continue to be a thing in the coming years. And I know it was something that we said to Jenny, at the end of this year, listen, as long as you keep building it, we'll keep coming. And I think that resonates for a lot of people and is true for a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly. So that pretty much takes us to the end of the official fest. We hung out a little bit more, chatted with Jenny, chatted with Jess and Mari and some of the other people that we get to see every year. And yeah, said our goodbyes. Again, bittersweet. We were going to go to Yale, but we were both just too tired to make that happen. So instead, we went back to the hotel room and sorted through our tokens. And I even was able to get through. I try to reuse the Gilmore's Against Humanity cards when I can because there are about 1,500 of them. And that's a lot of printing and cutting. So it's a lot of money and a lot of time to redo them fresh each year. So when I can, I like to save the ones that haven't been written on or trampled on or folded or ruined in some way. And so I did an initial sort of them and collected all the ones that were ruined and like edited the doc so that we only have to print the ones that need to be cut again. So like last year, there was a much higher proportion of cards that needed redoing. But this year, I think we only have like 5 pages to reprint, which is fantastic. So I don't know if we're going to be doing it again next year. But if it happens again in the future, we've got the cards ready more or less for it so that we can just reorganize them. So I was very proud of the fact that like I got us that set just like before we even left the hotel in Guilford. Mm-hmm. So that was nice. And we just had like a very chill night and we went back to Prime one more time and closed that place down again too.
Yeah.
They love us there. I say very sarcastically because they're like, why won't these bitches leave?
I'm sure that's probably a fair thing, but we do drop some coinage and I think we're very charitable guests. So if it is back in Guilford in 2026, Prime will see you soon.
Yeah, Raph and Steve were coming for you.
But that was pretty much the FanFest weekend. Do you have any, I know we've talked about a lot of the highlights, anything specifically that really just stood out for you that's like, that was a top tier FanFest 2025 moment that really, you know, hit it home for me? What were some of your favorite things that weekend?
Definitely the Kelly Bishop panel. The random conversation with Vlad, who like on his own is just a terrific human being. Like he was so personable and willing to talk to us for like what 10 minutes or something. He was just chatting us up and was so sweet and is clearly just a nice person, which is always lovely. Eris after karaoke getting his number. I think those are like really my top 3. What about you?
I mean, I think, you know, Emily Kuroda's rant at Kai is always going to be next level. You know, text your mother, take your laundry out of the dryer. Has your living room ever heard of anything like a vacuum cleaner? Because I see all the dust bunnies. Just, again, go look up that rant. It was the next level. It was well written. So that was a top tier moment for me. I really just enjoy being able to see the people that we haven't ever met before. Like George Anthony Bell.
Oh, there's one we missed. Coffee monologues. George read for Emily in coffee monologues this year. And so when he got up to do the Emily dressing down Shira Huntsberger thing, he stands up and he pulls out a string of pearls from under his sweater. Iconic. Mm-hmm. And he was just the nicest guy too. We had a nice little chat with him on Sunday, I think it was, and talked to him about Principal Wexler and all of that kind of stuff. So like just
personally just an Even Stevens fan over here. So it's just nice to bring those two worlds together. The man also does not age. You would still think that he's like 40 years old, which is remarkable. And I need to know like what his skincare routine is and what his diet is, but just an amazing human being. I hope he comes back. You know, Olivia, somebody
Shelly. Finally got to meet Shelly in person.
Shelly and Alice, who is like just an adorable pooch. You know, working in a school, you know, just as helping out with kids. So just shout out to them for that as well. But it's just always nice. It's nice to circle back and see the people that you have met before, because a huge part of FanFest is just being able to see, you know, old friends, familiar faces, but it's just always nice to meet and start connecting with those new people that you haven't been able to have those interactions with yet. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I don't think Shelly got enough love from us in this episode, but she did the match game panel with us, and again was just like so lovely. She was one of the first people I saw on Thursday, and I almost didn't recognize her. Like, she had her hair in pigtails, and I think I was just maybe not expecting to see her behind the registration booth. And then I saw Alice, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's Shelly!" Like, "Oh my god, hi!" Almost as if like we had met already in person, but like we follow each other on social media and stuff. So I think she has a vague familiarity with who we are just from fandom stuff. But we hadn't met her yet, and we were like chatting with her before. We're like, "Oh, by the way, we're Kate and Laura. We're gonna be doing a panel with you tomorrow." It was just, you get talking to them like they're normal people, and you forget that maybe you have to introduce yourself. You just like lose all sense of who you are and where you are and what year this is. And it's just like this weird little magical bubble that happens every year, and we can't wait to go back. But those were the highlights. Were there any lowlights this year?
Yeah, when it's over.
Exactly. That was mine too.
Like I said before, it's just, it's in its own way just hard to know that you're not going to see these people again for the better part of a year. There are people that are going to go on the cruise. Unfortunately, we're not able to make that, but we hope that they all have an excellent time. We're looking forward to seeing those photos. But this weekend it flies by. I feel like we even said this, like, for as many days as we had on the front end of our trip as well, I feel like we rolled up into Connecticut, we just blinked, and then the next thing that we knew, we were just like, driving out of Guilford. And I had a similar sort of moment driving out of Guilford in 2024, being like, is it really going to be a year? And it's such an amazing group of people, cast, crew, Jenny, Marcus, the volunteers, all of the friendships that you get to make with these people that come to FanFest. So just, it really kind of sucks, pardon the language, but it sucks just knowing that you're not going to see them again for another year. But it's also just why I'm really grateful that there are still pages like the FanFest planning group where it allows the community to still stay in touch with each other year round and still just try and be a present and active part of each other's lives.
It's true. Like, I'm Facebook friends now with so many people that I've met at the fest, and I'm constantly seeing pictures of them together. They're like meeting up in New York or Ohio or Michigan or whatever and getting together for people's birthdays, and like they're all genuine friends now, and it's adorable, frankly. But yeah, it's always bittersweet when it ends. It did go too fast. That's like my biggest critique of it, is it's like there's too much to do that like you can't even like do all the good stuff. And it feels so quick. It's good because you're not sitting around. There's always something to do, always somebody to talk to. And it always just kind of feels like, oh, I wish I'd been able to do that too. Like, you do so much and you come away with so many great stories and great memories, but it's always just like, that there's so many others out there and you like hear them from other people. And so it's like, it's nice to hear everybody else's stories and be like, oh, maybe next year I can have an experience just like that one too. Cause you always know that there's next year. At least we hope. I'm assuming announcements will start coming soon.
Yeah. I mean, again, we will say sitting here early December as we're filming this, nothing has been announced as of yet for a fall 2026 event. But we are optimistic, which is typical. So we are still optimistic and hopeful that it will happen. There was still just such a positive and great response from 2025. There's still such a great turnout that we hope this will be back. Again, we're dishing out a lot of positivity there. As announcements do start rolling out about that, if we get them, if it is going to be a thing, we'll of course post them on our social media. But we will also include links in our description below to the FanFest Society webpage, their Instagram page, and also to the FanFest Society Facebook planning group, where I said that page is active year round. So even when FanFest is not ongoing, even between that and the cruise over the summer, as we're all just living our lives outside of our FanFest bubble, people are still talking and just posing questions and just staying involved. So definitely check out that page. It is really a great way to remain a part of the community in the waiting period between fall events.
Yeah, it's adorable, like how attached people are, and they're just constantly posting and they're like countdowns and can't waits and all of that kind of stuff. It's a very wholesome little pocket of the internet that we've discovered over there. So definitely check that out. Keep an eye on their website and their social media and our pages and stuff. We'll try to keep you in the loop as best we can. If you're interested in going, we highly recommend it, clearly. So
Yeah. Any fan fest event that you go to, whether it's a fall event, whether it's a cruise that they're doing, you will never be disappointed. And we've said it time and time again. It's just the most wholesome and genuine group of people that you will ever get to meet and be surrounded by. So if you have the opportunity and the means to do so, if there is a 2026 event, we'll post about it as soon as we know more, but never hesitate to buy a ticket and attend. It's just one of the most remarkable experiences that you will ever have.
Indeed. All right. Shall we open day one of the Advent calendar while we're here?
We should. That's a great way to close this one out.
I made a promise. So this is what it looks like inside. Here's day one. Oh, a Chilton patch.
Ooh.
Is that? I can't tell if it's iron on. It's probably iron on, but adorable. I love Chilton. I love the whole like prep school aesthetic. So very much my vibe.
First day of Chilton, first day of December. So
I see what they did there. Brilliant. Love it.
It fits. But keep an eye on our Instagram page as well as we're going through December and opening these in the Advent calendar. Like Kate said, we may not post every single day, but we'll try and throw up a couple, throughout the weeks of December as we see what goodies are in this calendar. So stay tuned for that. Again, all of the links to our social media pages will be in the video description below. But even more than our social media pages, please just stay on top of the FanFest pages, the planning group, their Instagram, and the webpage as well. You can sign up for emails so that way as, things start getting dropped in terms of updates about, events that are forthcoming, you'll be in the know, but we'll keep you posted as best as we can. But all of the links will be below.
Yeah. And I suppose on that note, we're not sure when we'll see you next time specifically. I have a good feeling it will be to talk about Holiday Touchdown, A Bill's Love Story. Whether it's just us or not, I don't know. But we have thoughts about that movie. We loved it. So definitely go watch that. Vanessa also has another holiday movie coming out December 21st. So keep an eye on Hallmark or W Network, wherever you are. And keep an eye out for the projects of the lovely Vanessa Morano.
Yes.
But on that note, we will see you next Friday for dinner.
Have a good night, everybody. Go FanFest and go Bills.
Go Bills. Bye.
Bye.